Okay, let's talk about the tactics a little bit now. We've gone through these tactics before, but I want to take the time to go through them again. I've developed this process that works for me over the past 5 years. I've worked with 4 other CPAs. They are doing phenomenal. We've heard throughout the Money Concepts events that we should be pulling off our C and D clients and passing it to the next generation because it's probably A clients to them. And I do that. I have probably pulled off 100 grand worth of my volume every year for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've passed it off to them. But I don't think it should be just C and D clients. Every one of my staff member, I've passed over a $2 million account and a bunch of $1 million accounts too. I want them to be comfortable at that level. If someone walked into our office and the 26-year-old, and they sat down with him and they had $5 million, he's going to be comfortable. He's going to know what to do with that. It doesn't have to be me. Okay? So I would encourage you to pick some of the larger clients and let them go to school. Let them understand the mentality, because it does make a difference. That $300,000 client is really difficult to work with in the sense that you cannot afford to make a mistake. If that's their retirement, you've got to get that right. $2 million account, it's a lot easier. You're going to have some bonds. You're worried about, you're worried about preservation, not necessarily growth. And the things that $2 million client think about is much different than that $300,000 client. You've got to give the staff that you're mentoring a taste of that so they can grow into it. I picked up a lady in Costa Rica. She was at an international living event that I was speaking at, and if you met this woman, you'd think she needed a quarter for a cup of coffee. It was one of those things. And she had just inherited $2 million. And I sat down and talked to her, and like a human being, and she was shocked because she didn't have a lot of money most of her life, and people didn't treat her very well. And I'm a big believer in you treat everybody with respect. And so we had a long conversation at the booth, and she was ready to come on board. Now, I had a decision to make. Should I keep that client or should I turn it over? I thought that would be a very good fit for Matt, who's an excellent international tax guy in our office, and so I turned it over to him. Now, some of you may think, gee, Nick, that should be, you should take the bigger clients. Well, the way we compensate our folks is they'll make anywhere from 10 to 30% of the overrides, but the bulk of their compensation is coming from salary. I don't want them, I don't want the CPAs, I don't want the tax professionals motivated by money in the sense that they've got to sell a wrong product. I want them to know that the vast majority of their income is going to come from a salary. And every year that salary is going to go up based on their overall production. They understand that. Okay. But so I turned that lady, Deborah, over to Matt. They've developed a great relationship. That's one that Matt will probably have for the next 20 years. And he's starting to understand more of the philosophy of what it takes to manage someone's money at that level. Okay. But that's what these younger folks are looking for today. They're looking for opportunity, and they're looking for mentoring. This stuff you see on the news about how millennials are lazy, I don't find that in my practice. I would put any of my folks up against anybody else of any age. They're hungry, they're excited, they're bright, and they're hardworking. In fact, I have to threaten to fire them during tax season if they work 7 days a week. We have a rule. You've got to take a day off. We do too much brain power work. I don't want you getting overly tired, okay? But if I let them, they'd work 7 days a week, and they wouldn't whine. So we have an amazing opportunity out there with some very bright folks, but you got to pay them well, and you've got to give them a path to the next level. The other thing I should share with you is that when someone comes on board with us and they're a CPA or enrolled agent, we tell them what their responsibilities will be for the next 5 years. We call it NCH University. And we tell them what their compensation is going to be for the next 5 years if they hit certain marks. They got to hit certain levels. So for the first 5 years of someone that's with us, we don't discuss compensation again. It just doesn't come up. They know they hit certain levels, their income goes up, they know what they've got to accomplish. It takes all that crap out of the management and lets them focus on becoming really good at what they do. What should you expect from administrative assistants? I have 3 financial planning administrative assistants. I told Dennis the other day I spend about 150 grand on those three. I was wrong. It's almost 200 grand on those three. Now, one of them gets paid a whole lot more than the other two, but they are exceptional. They're all licensed. The only thing they won't do is make client decisions or give clients advice. Everything else they'll do. I can say to them, at least one of them, I can say to them, look, I want an annuity product. I want it to look like X. I want these kinds of bells and whistles on it, and this is the payout I want. And in 48 hours, I'll have a spreadsheet that says, I couldn't find exactly that, Nick, but here are the closest opportunities I could find for you. This person will call Mario, they'll call the main office, they'll call regional directors, they'll call the wholesalers. I don't have to go through that process. I just have to review their spreadsheet. Can you imagine the time that saves me? Phenomenal. Now, you have to make sure they're well trained. You have to make sure they're being paid enough to stick around after you train them. But I encourage you, you're not expecting enough from your people. And they want to do more. There's a fear in our industry because we tend to be so good at what we do that our staff can't do it as well as us. We were talking about this earlier this morning, and so we want to do it all. I encourage you, in order to get to the next level, you have to be comfortable, start being comfortable with error. You have to let your staff make mistakes, you have to let them learn from it, and you have to be okay. You can't beat them up. The only rule I have in my office for mistakes is if a staff member makes a mistake, they have to get it to me as soon as humanly possible. I can help them if I know about it quickly and get them out of it. If they hide a mistake, it's time to be fired. They all understand that. Now, I got comfortable with mistakes in the office just because I used to make so many of them. I figured it doesn't really matter if I'm making it or the staff's making it. I can apologize to the client the same way. But I encourage you, if you can let them spread their wings a little bit, they generally are not making the same mistakes twice, and it starts to free you up. If you can generate another 50 or 100 grand a year in revenue, and you lose one client over a silly mistake, it's worth the trade-off. It's the business element of this. We can't be perfect with every client, even if we're doing it ourselves. I hire good people, and I pay them exceptionally well. In fact, there hasn't been a Money Concepts event yet where I have brought folks, whether it be Andrew Carroll or Tony or Tim or Matt, when one of you haven't extended yourself and tried to hire them. I know who you are, it's okay. If you can give them a better life, so be it. I'm all for it. But then you find out what they make. They're not going to leave me. I pay really well. I pay really well because I can. The financial planning aspect of my practice is huge, and that cash flow allows me to hire the best and the brightest and train them well. So for those of you that are telling me you can't afford in your local area, I'm just telling you, you haven't constructed your firm and built the firm in the right model so that you can pay these folks. I want you to pay your folks well. I want them to be there, and I want you to have the best. It takes money. And it also takes a phenomenal commitment. I could probably spend 8 hours teaching you about, or sharing with you, I shouldn't say teaching, but sharing with you on how to care and feed the staff, how to mentor the next generation.